bearable to work with. He might just be too difficult to. I am become meme. I know the judges the elections on April 1st, which I know it's not a joke though. That's pretty epic. Fucking God, I hate. I need to be careful, or like Elon's mannerisms are going to worm their way into my brain the way that Trump's has for everyone, but like in a much worse way because Trump is very funny. Do the X jump. Do the X jump. It also represents a stark shift in the Trump-Musk relationship from a month ago when White House officials and allies were predicting that Musk was here to stay and Trump would find a way to blow past the 130-day time limit. One senior administration official said Musk is likely to retain an informal role as an advisor and continue to be an occasional face around the White House grounds. Another caution that anyone who thinks Musk is going to disappear entirely from Trump's orbit is, quote, fooling themselves. Musk defenders inside the administration believe that the time is right for a transition, given their view that there's only so much more he can cut from government agencies without shaving too close to the bone. He hasn't done anything yet. Literally, all he's done is destroy U.S. aid, which judges are currently like freezing on 17 levels, and he's made it so you can't call your Social Security office. No money's been saved. He's stolen our info. Yeah, he's dipped his balls in the effervescent white sap that pours from the wounds in the tree in the Department of the Treasury, you know, that our beloved treasurers gather with buckets and then pour into the Fed. I don't. Well, he hasn't done anything. Many others say he's an unpredictable, unmanageable force who has had issues communicating his plans with cabinet secretaries and through the White House chain of command led by Susie Wiles, frequently sending them into a frenzy with unexpected and off-message comments on Twitter, his social media platform. Oh, I'm sure, and as opposed to Trump, who I'm sure goes through the normal chain of command anytime he wants to do anything. We actually spent like 120 billion plus more in the. Have you seen the chart on like expected deficit spending? If the the rumored Senate Republican discussion is like implemented, you cut wealthy people taxes, and what do you get? Like, debt skyrocketed during Trump's first term. That's what happens when you pass tax cuts for the wealthy. Like, what the f do you got to pay the military? Got to pay subsidies to Tesla or SpaceX or whatever. That looks like the 500 billion cut reduction to Medicaid they caved. Yeah, I mean, we'll see, like and that wasn't even a Doge thing. Look, at the end of the day, the problem that we have here, okay, is that what happened in 2024 was an unprecedented consolidation of capital interest. Basically, every oligarch and the business class in general, the very wealthy, overwhelmingly, you can say like it's most represented through people like Zuckerberg or Bezos or Elon or whatever, but it goes beyond that, right? It's a broader cultural shift. You have two paths you can take because people are feeling more and more economically anxious. People are unhappy with the status quo. You get, at the very least, social democracy, which includes raising taxes on the wealthy, capital gains tax, business tax, whatever, or fascism, right? And they made a choice. They made a choice, right? We know what choice they made. Now, you can oust Elon because Elon maybe ended up being the most unpopular or the most obnoxious or socially incompetent, but nonetheless very wealthy oligarch who supported Trump, sure. But the underlying issue isn't Elon, and it's not Trump either. It's that capital consolidation. To me, the symbol of America moving right was not Kamala Harris massively underperforming compared to Joe Biden or Donald Trump outperforming expectations or anything like that. To me, it was watching a clip of Joe Rogan in 2020 versus watching a clip of Joe Rogan today. That's it. That's what I think of. Every time I think about what we have to overcome, it's that. It's not about politicians. It's not even necessarily about like wealthy people as a group. It's about the idea that in a country where people are so disillusioned and so bored and so desperate to change things without knowing what they can change, people turn to cultural figures for answers. They turn to live streamers. They turn to podcasters. They turn to cults of personality like Trump. And in an environment where you can have even people like Joe Rogan become like shameless partisan advocates, like Jesse Waters, just thoughtlessly regurgitating talking points that have been given to you because there's money to be made in it. That's the environment that needs to be overcome. That shit is really scary. Way, way, way worse than Elon on his own. Elon, I want to thank you. I know you've been through a lot, Trump said, mentioning death threats and the spate vandalism directed at cars built by Tesla before calling him a patriot and a friend of mine. Both men subsequently hinted publicly at a transition. Oh. When Fox News' Brett Baer asked Musk on Thursday whether he'd be ready to leave when a special government employee status expires, he essentially declared mission accomplished. I think we will have accomplished most of the work required to reduce the deficit by 1 trillion within that time frame. Oh, I'm sure. I'm sure. How do we get that message to the general public who's angry and unsatisfied but seem completely reluctant to consider class consciousness over hating immigrants or a political party? What I fear most isn't Elon and Trump running the country into the ground, because I think there's a time limit on them doing that. What I fear most is because Elon and Trump are so obviously incompetent, they break the systems they're using to worsen the country, things peter out for a bit, maybe a moderate Republican, relatively speaking, wins, or Democrats win, but nothing changes. And then 5 years from then, the same thing happens all over again. All of the underlying biases, the capital consolidation, the desire to promote anything, any political argument outside of like we need to hold the wealthy to account, you see the whole thing rise up. And by the way, right now, the insiders who chose Trump, the insiders who have been working behind the scenes, I'm not talking the deep state cabal, I just mean like the Heritage Foundation, the GOP, people who work for the RNC board, the people whose job it is to go like, how do we win next year? How do we win next decade? Those people are thinking past Trump. Trump's like 80. And Elon is hilariously antisocial. He can't hold up to this public scrutiny. They'll be accepted if they can, but the people who were interested in testing Ron DeSantis against Trump are right now thinking, maybe things don't work out with these two. What do we do next election? What do we do the election after that? What do we do the next decade, the decade after that? What do we do to make sure this country keeps getting worse for the rest of everyone's lives? And honestly, it seems like right now, even if Trump and Elon left, even if things got really embarrassing for them, even if they became really unpopular, all the levers they used to make Elon and Trump happen, they still have them. You understand what I'm talking about? All of the mechanisms that allowed this to happen are still there and just as strong, if not stronger than they were back in 2020, 2024, whatever. That's what I'm scared of. I'm not scared of this country hitting a bump in the road, a pretty bad bump. Mind you, I'm not one to downplay how bad this administration has been so far or how bad it could be. I'm worried about this being the road. I'm worried about this being the car we're on from now on. Well, we'll see. You're not wrong, but there's an element to Trump that is fairly unique. Personal charisma you couldn't replicate with DeSantis or Vance. That's correct. Trump is special in that sense. But they could find another. You know that, right? Give them 2, 3, 4, 5 more years. They could find one. They could. Trump's not that special. They could find someone else to get that cult of personality going. And if they do, billions will pour into that guy's coffers. It'll be all over again. The same damn thing. And you'll be arguing the same goddamn points. It'll be 2036, and you're still going to have to argue with people over whether or not illegal immigrants commit more crimes, or whether or not asylum seekers following the legal, internationally recognized process of entering a country are or are not invading. Like, all these points over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until you die, and your children will have to deal with the same goddamn points. This 97-year-old political live streamer still makes arguments the old-fashioned way. That's me, like, with the calipers, talking about the conservative front-running candidate in, like, 2062.